Really, in terms of these types of projects, the hardest part is to just get started. Like, it's really hard to, pick up a specific thing and then start because, in terms of a scene like that, a scene that has a lot of things to consider, it's pretty hard to, get an idea of which direction you're going. So, what I do is just, pick up anything at all, place a terrain, place some textures, place some randomly scattered grass, and just get a overall feeling of what I want there to be. And then I place like an object of focus. In every scene, there is something that you will mainly focus on, and then you're gonna kind of build the environment around that specific focused object. And then I tweak around some of the values within the material. I usually use a PSX style material or a PSX shader for this, but in terms of bigger scenes where I'm not specifically focusing on game development, I usually don't. I just go with the standard material, just turn the smoothness down completely. And then I add more vegetation, kind of make the scene look dense, and then I just remove the basic directional light. I usually don't use a skybox until I really have to, but in this scene I will not do it because I will be using a volumetric shader to completely hide the sky. And then I use a custom made fog shader that I previously showcased. I have tweaked it so that it uses a gradient palette, and then it just calculates the distance from you and the camera. It uses the Z buffer to kind of lay out the entire gradient from the start to the finish. This really, really looks really good when you combine it with post processing effects and stuff, and it works really well with your Unity's custom in these built-in fog system, so it kind of supports everything in between. Usually doesn't conflict with anything else that's already in your project, so it just works fine. I also use temporal anti-aliasing and just bump up the sharpness a little bit, and I also use a custom sharpness shader to give the scene a little bit of sharpness because I've already used the post-processing, some dithering on the screen, and I've also used a shader to kind of simulate that low resolution kind of feel. It downscales it and then upscales the downscaled version of the image to your screen. I also used a custom volumetric algorithm, so everything combined, it just looks like this. Now it looks really good because of the way the volumetric fog works. The volumetric fog, of course, isn't really ready. It isn't to a point where you will be able to use it with your games because it might give you a very horrible performance. It's still available on the GitHub. I'm trying my best to incorporate some other options and try to optimize it a little bit, but it's really hard to do so. And there isn't a built-in interpretation between the SRP and this, so there are a lot of things that I really can't fix. I also use the CRT effect shader, which I have previously showcased as well. This effect is really good. I've shown it on my Puppet Combo video. And with this turned on, you can actually get some very, very appealing visuals. You can tweak the values, use some RF noise, signal noise. And another thing that I personally use is the scan lines effect, because that effect alone really hides a lot of things. Combine all of these with the dense foliage and the focus point of your entire scene, it starts to look really good. So the main concept here is to just get started with something and then add effects after, once you have something that you think just scratches the surface, and then tweak it and edit it. So that's all for today's video.